Kakadosh Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. We're continuing with halachot of Hachana. And it's brought down now in the halacha that you're allowed to take out from the freezer a challah in order that it should defrost and you would be able to use it on Motsae Shabbat. And there's no problem of Hachana mi Shabbat lechol. So there's no problem of preparing from Shabbat to weekday. Now the question is why? At the end of the day, you're not going to eat this bread on Shabbat. If you were going to eat it on Shabbat, so then it makes sense. But if you're not eating it on Shabbat, so why would it be permitted? So the Chayei Adam brings down, Mutar la'asot be'od hayom gadol, you're allowed to do when it's still, right, a very long period of time during the day, ma'aseh kal, a very light action, she'eno begeder gemar inyan, that you're not finishing off an action. Kegon, for example, you're walking or moving a table from the sukkah to the house, and there's no problem of Hachana mi Shabbat lechol. Why? Because it's not considered Hachana. But he's only going to be mekel in such a scenario, b'shat dachak, in time and pressing need. For example, that it's difficult to do it during the nighttime, or it's l'tzorach mitzvah. And the Mishnah Berurah brings us down, and Siman Tafresh Samach Zayin Sif Katan Hey. So according to that, they come and they say, 1 second, if it's going to be a ma'aseh kal, which means it, we're not talking about such a difficult task. We're talking about you're taking something out of the freezer. It's a ma'aseh kal. It's a very light action. So therefore, since also it's being done letzorach mitzvah, so it will be mutar. Why? Because obviously Seudat Revi'it is a mitzvah. So therefore you're allowed to do it. Based upon this is also the psak of Rav Ovadia Yosef and also the Falk, based in the Shut Machazeh Eliyahu. And because of this halacha, it's very important that this will actually give us a heter, whether it's going to be from Shabbat to Motsae Shabbat, or one Yom Tov to another Yom Tov, or from the Shabbat to Motsae Shabbat, which is going to be a Yom Tov. What does that mean? We know that just like you're not allowed to prepare from Shabbat to Chol, you're not allowed to prepare from one Yom Tov to another Yom Tov. You could only prepare from Yom Tov to Shabbat with an eruv tavshilin. But from Shabbat to Yom Tov, you can never prepare, and you cannot prepare from one Yom Tov to another Yom Tov. So for example, let's say we're talking about right now, I've got the food in the freezer. If I'm only going to be able to come and take out the food right when it's going to be already the next night of Yom Tov, imagine right now, we just have Yom Tov, we come back from Arvit, we get home, and now they're going to start lighting the candles, because remember, usually we finish Arvit and we get home, and only then is going to be lighting of the candles on the second night of Yom Tov. And only now, if you're going to start taking the food out of the freezer, let it defrost, or even if you put it straight on the plata, you're going to be waiting for a good hour, 2 hours until the food is going to be ready. But now if we're going to explain that really be'emet a ma'aseh kal, which means a very light action, which is not finishing off the product. When you took it out of the freezer, you didn't do anything. You're just now starting a process which is going to take a very long time, which is going to be letting it defrost. In such a scenario, since it's going to be difficult to do it on the Motsae Shabbat, or it's difficult to do it on the next night of Yom Tov, and it's going to be letzorach mitzvah, we could be mekel. So therefore, it's not going to be considered hachana from Shabbat to Chol, or from one Yom Tov to another Yom Tov, and therefore you're allowed to do so. So again, whether it's going to be taking out a chalot or taking out whatever you want from the freezer, that in itself would be considered no problem of hachana, of preparing from Shabbat to the weekday, and therefore that's what's actually brought down in the halacha.